Good afternoon from Geneva. I'm Sandy Rodger from the Toilet Board Coalition, and yesterday was World Toilet Day, and today then is the second of 3 days of what we call our virtual toilet summit. So running over these 3 days, we have webinars, we have report launches, we have announcements, insights, experts, lots of great content about what we call the sanitation economy. And that's the new transformational model for sanitation, which turns it from a cost to society, a public cost, which in many parts of the world is really unaffordable. It turns it from that into a business opportunity, which potentially allows us to get sanitation implemented much more widely around the world. And you can see in the headings on the screen, the three components of the sanitation economy: the toilet economy, the circular sanitation economy, and the smart sanitation economy. And today we're focusing on the circular sanitation economy. This is actually the third of 3 sessions that we're running on that subject. And we started off a couple of hours ago with Laurent Auguste, one of the top team at Veolia, who was telling us why that huge, very expert company from France, but operating all over the world, is talking about resources. So he actually used the word, the thing we used to call waste, but he wants to talk about resources and how that creates business and real opportunity. And then we had a session talking about agriculture, how sanitation in agriculture could be done in a different way using the circular sanitation economy approach. And we launched a report on that subject, which you can find on our website. So that's what we've been doing so far. And all of this is in this space where the sanitation world overlaps with the thinking about the circular economy. And with that kind of duality of the subject, we've got a dual audience for this session. And this session is going out not only within the World Toilet Day Virtual Summit, but also as part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's Disruptive Innovation Festival. So there's a circular economy audience, hopefully, listening into this as well. You're very welcome. This is all about the overlap between the spaces that we operate in, overlapping silos, you might say, in the way people have worked traditionally, and really trying to promote the opportunities that lie if we work together in that overlapping space. So we say opportunities, but we're a business organization. We're looking for business opportunities. It's not enough just to say that there is some kind of big, wide economic opportunity in providing sanitation. The question is, are there actually working business models which allow businesses to fund their operations, to make a profit, to give a return to their investors, and do the things that businesses do to grow and provide services to citizens? So are there real business models in this space? That's the question for the next half hour. And I'm going to invite Pascale Guiffant to start off in a moment, but on the panel we have 3 of our colleagues from all over the world today. As it happens, we have Johann Clere from Veolia, who's in Cambodia, speaking today, and then David Auerbach and Andrew Foote, both of them based in Kenya, who are 2 of the entrepreneurs that we've been working with over the last few years. So a panel with real expertise from large and small businesses here to talk about business models. But we're going to start with Pascale, and Pascale is going to bring us up to date, or rather bring us to the starting point of the work this year on the business models, because we did some work last year on this, Pascale, didn't we? And one view of business is there needs to be a top line and there needs to be a bottom line. So tell us a bit about the conclusions that we came to, and then we'll work with the other panelists to look forward into the more recent work. But you start us off there, yeah?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Sandy. So yeah, maybe to start. So the work is here, 2 reports that have been produced last year on circular economy and sanitation. But maybe before starting, I just would like to give you some figures in order to, because when you talk about business opportunity, what do we mean in terms of number of people? We have this figure in mind, 2.5 billion people not having access to sanitation, but actually when we look in the detail, we can see that 4.5 billion people do not have access to a sanitation facility which manage safely the excreta. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that most of the excreta produced is not treated, not even valorized, which is one of the objectives of the entrepreneur that will represent the business model. And if we look at the way we think about sanitation, I mean sewer, we can see that in many regions, sewer is not at all in major service. Looking at Southern Africa, just 7% of the population in Southern Africa would have access to sewer, which is really low. So if we look at this picture, the needs, the actual infrastructure, we can see that there is a large gap between what we would like everyone to have and not today answering to the needs. The thing is, we think that new approaches that will include circular economy and being able to valorize toilet resources is in order not just to having a better organization for managing sanitation, but also to be able to lower the cost. And I think we will discuss that this after. But the thing is, the business model that will be presented after, they show that the level of affordability they give is very interesting, especially compared to sewers, which means that we are capable of being able to offer proper sanitation facilities with collection, with transport, proper treatment, people that are.
I think we're losing the signal a little bit from Pascale in Paris there, but she has frozen up on the screen. So let's keep going. So Pascale was talking about the opportunity there, the business models built around new types of sanitation, and just to perhaps to wrap up a little bit on that, what those reports last year said, and she was waving the two colored reports. So one of them, looking at India, said there is a top line, right? There are significant markets growing to something like $60 billion over the next few years just in India. And what the Green Report, which looked at the business models, said is there are potentially profitable business models. The issue is not can they be profitable, the issue is can they scale up to the scale which would allow them to be profitable. And so that's where we got to last year, working with a number of companies, but the learning has moved forward now in the last year. And what I'm going to do now is turn to two of the entrepreneurs who we've been working with, both based in Kenya, as it happens, but with two different business models, different technologies. And I'm going to start with Andrew Foote. And Andrew, I think congratulations are due to you. You opened your new plant only yesterday on World Toilet Days. So tell us about your business model. Tell us about why this is potentially interesting in the sense of being a profitable business model and in the sense of providing sanitation.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, it was a great day yesterday with a number of colleagues from the Kuru government, and was just so honored to be able to celebrate with them. And I think what's kind of exciting is we've seen an evolution and a decentralized approach in other sectors, right? We've seen it in transport, we've seen it in energy, we've seen it in telecommunications, and I think the secret's getting out that it's about to happen in sanitation, right? We see the momentum building when you have players like Tata Trust, T Partnership, Suez, Veolia, Unilever, Kimberly-Clark, Gates Foundation, and all of these folks talking about the need for a decentralized model. And so what we mean when we say a decentralized model is we're intaking fecal sludge from pit latrines and septic tanks, and we're making sure it gets processed safely and cost effectively. And when we look inside of these pit latrines and septic tanks, we believe that waste has this latent energy, and that latent energy has economic value to help enable commercialization of these models, right? And so that latent energy that we see is transforming fecal sludge into these biomass fuels that can replace traditional wood and be sold to large-scale industries in their biomass boilers. And so this is sort of, the business model here is really quite simple. And we see it as three topics, or sort of three key areas, or circular principles, if you will, that are important. And so those three areas are one, that we're solving pain points and creating economic value on both sides of the equation. So for the utility provider, of making sure waste, we're generating value in their waste treatment processes. And secondly, on the offtake side for industries to actually procure these products that are being produced from waste inputs. And then secondly, we're tying industrial process together that create services that are better for the environment. Again, both sort of preventing environmental pollution for the utility providers. And then secondly, preventing carbon offsets on the industry sides. And then lastly, what's exciting about working both with utilities and industries is we have these partnerships that are growth-oriented relationships, right? So you can imagine the business opportunity of working with the utility to solve a really tough problem, right? Of ensuring that all of the fecal sludge gets treated. Building those relationships allows scalability and other sorts of avenues to help solve municipal problems. And so to date, we're doing this in 2 locations, one in an urbanizing community and one in a refugee camp. We've sold over 750 tons of biomass fuel derived from fecal sludge. And yeah, just yesterday, we launched our 3rd waste treatment facility in partnership with the government of Nakuru. And so what's exciting is by using this waste as a resource, we can make waste treatment affordable, scalable, and environmentally beneficial. And the market size here is quite large, as Bill Gates and others have been recently talking about. And so we're just excited to be a part of this community that's really recognizing the opportunity and decentralized approaches for sanitation.
Andrew, thank you. Great story. So let's move a couple of hours down the road from Naivasha to Nairobi, to the capital city of Kenya. And David, I see you've even adopted Andrew's beard for this call. There's some kind of harmonization going on between entrepreneurs in Kenya, which we didn't do through the Toilet Board. I must stress that. But David, over to you. Tell us about your business model. Tell us about how this leads to profits, and again, how this gets sanitation delivered. David, over to you.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very proud of my beard, so thank you. Thank you for calling it out. So what we do at Sanergy is very similar to what Andrew laid out as Sanivation, with very similar principles of employing the circular economy and really seeing the end of the sanitation value chain as an opportunity to upcycle waste rather than to dispose of it, and in doing so, creating an incentivized value chain all along, starting with the containment of toilets. So we work in informal settlements where currently we provide sanitation to 80,000 people through a network of 2,000 Fresh Life toilets. These are toilets that are being sold predominantly to landlords who are providing it to residents living in informal settlements, ensuring that they gain access 24/7 for the first time. And then what we do is that we then organize for a waste collection to happen through a network of locally hired people who do the emptying of the waste, and then we have a much larger waste collection operation that takes the waste from the perimeter of slums out to a large processing plant. We're converting the waste into valuable end products. These 2 valuable end products are, first, we've led with organic fertilizer, and then also we are doing black soldier fly larvae, which has been the second, perhaps bigger product that we are now rolling out. These products have massive potential here in Kenya, in particular, where we have had a shortage of agricultural inputs. Organic fertilizer is extremely valuable for restoring the quality of soil. We've seen, we see farms doing with animal feed is that we're raising a colony of black soldier fly larvae. These are very resilient flies, and they start out as maggots. They eat organic matter. They get protein, and with that, we then sell that on to feed millers, who put that in their specialty mixes, of which any chicken feed or such is about 10 to 15% animal-based proteins. And so what we're actually substituting or replacing is tremendously exciting opportunity for us. And in doing so, we are in doing all of this work, we are realizing SDG 6.2 and ensuring that everyone gains safe access to safe sanitation.
David, thank you. Slight problems with the sound there, but I think most of that got through, and thank you very much. So we've heard there from two entrepreneurs running businesses in Kenya, providing sanitation. You've heard, even although David was saying the businesses are similar, you've also heard that there's some diversity of different ideas, different technologies, new things emerging like the black soldier fly technology. And I'm going to turn now to Johann Clere. Johann is joining us today from Cambodia, but he's from Veolia, based in Paris. Veolia joined us this year as our 6th member, so one of the largest companies involved in this space. And in fact, Johann, I think you were in Kenya only recently, meeting these guys who we just heard from. So here's Veolia looking at this, looking, I guess, at scale in a way that smaller companies probably find hard to imagine if you think of the size of Veolia, and yet working with smaller companies in the process. So tell us about what your kind of overview of this is now as this picture emerges, and tell us about Veolia's working with large and small companies in this space.
Sure. So good morning or good afternoon, good evening here in Asia. Yes, first of all, we're very pleased to be joining the Toilet Board Coalition. We're learning a lot of the different stakeholders. And yes, 2 weeks ago, I had the chance to meet with Andrew from Sanivation, David and his team, also from Sanergy. And it's very impressive, to see not just so much the technology and the circular economy model, but really the way they are innovating at the ecosystem level. And that's something key when you think about circular economy is do you secure your upstream resources, your upstream toilet resources, and then also, walking downstream about, what kind of value this actually brings the new product that you are manufacturing. And for Veolia standpoint, we have this purpose of resourcing the world, and we are obviously a big footprint globally, but there are some specific markets where, traditional, maybe centralized system with sewers, is not appropriate, when you visit some slums in Nairobi, obviously because of the growing population, the urbanization, and also the topography and maybe the challenges around public funding. You need company that really are trying to develop those non-sewer sanitation, and that makes a lot of sense.
Would work better if I was off mute there. Thank you very much. So let me just add a little bit to what the guys have said in terms of our own work with the Toilet Board this year. So we work with entrepreneurs. You've heard Johann on tour of entrepreneurs at the moment and making those connections between large and small companies. So that's really central to what the Toilet Board does. And in addition to that, this year we've run 2 what we call strategic projects, and both of these are producing reports which are being published this week. And the earlier webinar, for those who saw it, and if not, look on toiletboard.org and you will find it, launched a report on the sanitation economy in agriculture, and specifically the circular sanitation economy. So this is very much looking at the kind of technologies and business models that Andrew and David were talking about, and to see whether those can work in the context of a plantation. And the findings suggest that you can get a triple bottom line benefit. You can get an economic benefit and an environmental benefit, all while delivering sanitation, which of course brings a social benefit and a health benefit. So the findings from that are very promising, and there's a commitment there to go forward with that project into next year to set up demonstrators and do more studies. And we have a new methodology for assessing the circular options within sanitation, which will, we hope, help that process. So that's another piece of this jigsaw of different business models and different ideas that are emerging, some of these in the agricultural space. You'll also see tomorrow that we're launching, as part of our Smart Sanitation Economy Day, a report about the city of Pune in India, which is shaping up to be the world's first smart sanitation city. A smart city is not a new idea. A smart sanitation city is a new idea. And that brings out a whole other set of business models. So not only those that are based on the resource flows that we're hearing about today, but also business models based around the data in the system. So how can that be valorized? For example, in driving consumer research into new product innovations across many business sectors, or as a preventative health indicator. Can the sanitation system be an early warning system which allows health to be much more effective and efficient? So there's value being created immediately, which could translate into various business models. So the work that we're doing on business models is both working with the entrepreneurs, working with companies like Veolia, but it's also through these strategic projects trying to get the whole set of business models across sanitation to work as well as possible. So that gives you an idea of the kind of span of business model activity that's going on. And indeed, the next session is sort of taking up from here and talking about pathways to profitability. But I'll come to that at the end. What I'd like to do is just go around the guys one more time, because I think the thing that you've all touched on here is this idea of a decentralized system. And so I think all of you in different ways mentioned that. But I suppose maybe if I'll go to David Auerbach first, hoping the connection is working, because I remember we were having this discussion last year, and I remember you saw a kind of multi-level opportunity here economically. It was almost like the cost is lower, and then it's lower again because you can sell stuff, and then it's lower again because you can sell something else, and it just seemed to be eating into that old idea of sanitation as this huge public cost. So do you just tell us a bit more about how this different model really changes the economics of sanitation?
Yeah, sure. So, the baseline way that we think about this is from some just fantastic research done by Linda Strand at Auerbach and a couple of her colleagues based in Senegal that did a study of how much it would cost to provide full water-based sewer systems in informal settlements. And they took Dakar, Senegal, which, like Nairobi, has about 2 million people living in informal settlements. And they priced it at about, over a 20-year period, baked in all costs of CapEx and OpEx to about $56 per person per year to do that. And most countries' governments are not spending anywhere near that. In Kenya, our national water and sanitation budget is about $3 to $4 per person per year. In Nairobi, which is the capital of it, as you mentioned, Sandy, it's about $7 for water and sanitation. And I should say a lot of that goes to water more than to sanitation. And so we took that model and compared what we were doing against that. We brought in some fantastic engineers through the Enterprise Growth Services program at consultants, not engineers, at Ernst & Young. And what they've been able to help us show is that our model right now, serving 80,000 people, costs only about $28 per person per year to realize the full value chain. So it's already half the price. And then if you take the market-based principles of what we're doing, which includes collecting and reusing the waste, as well as having some community investment for people investing in sanitation, another half of that is actually being covered by market forces. So at this stage, it only costs the government $14 per person per year rather than $56. So it's already 4 times cheaper than any model out there. And this is only with us serving 80,000. As we achieve saturation, those costs come down significantly. And so a lot of our work is how do we demonstrate that, going from 80,000 to 200 to 300 to 500,000 people. And when that happens, we start to see efficiencies where it costs less than $4 per person per year to provide these services. This fits already with what budgets are of cities, but also shows that there's an affordable way to be able to reach all of their citizens, which nobody has done yet. And through that work, we're starting to be able to attract the attention of governments and municipalities to think differently. But it also requires others to think differently, because the traditional way to look at the sanitation challenges, like, okay, can I build sewers and then the rest will take care of itself? We're showing that one, that hasn't been feasible. These sewers have not been built, as we just wait and wait and wait. And two, we can do this in a more cost-effective, smarter way.
Great, David, thank you. So, you know, I said at the beginning, the sanitation economy is about moving from an unaffordable public cost to a business opportunity. I think, David, that's exactly what you were saying, but you're hearing it from somebody that's actually running a business that's doing this. So this is not theory. This is real business that we're talking about. So Andrew, let's come to you on another aspect of this. So, you know, one of the things that allows a business to be profitable is that it thinks about a product and a market and customers, and then makes a product that those customers need. So this is not, I have waste, it's a problem, what do I do with it? This is, I have a market, how do I serve that market, and how do I use raw materials to make this product? And I mean, I think one of the things, if I understand rightly, is your raw materials are not only the so-called toilet resources, you're blending different streams to produce that optimum product. So there's another different way of looking at sanitation, different way of producing a business model. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think just to echo what David said, right? I mean, in Kenya alone, there's 118 secondary cities that need access to waste treatment services, not just in Kenya, right? And just this past week, you know, development financiers committed $2.5 billion to help support citywide inclusive sanitation planning. So looking at sanitation holistically. And so there's a market opportunity on the treatment end, right, that you can look at. And then, yeah, there's also this market opportunity on the fuel end. And so this product here, right, this product that we're making here is a combination of both fecal sludge and other agricultural waste products. So in most of these, you know, developing economies, largely based on agriculture, and significant amount of agriculture residues that are going unused. So similarly, how there's latent energy and fecal sludge that's going unused, there's latent energy in these agricultural waste products that are going unused. And together, we're just combining them to make a product that actually outcompetes traditional products. So, you know, now we're working with larger factories that are saying, hey, we want a replacement for wood. It's hard for us to source large quantities of wood because it's such an informal market. The wood has moisture content in it. We can't get it dry. Can you produce us a reliable, high quality product that can replace wood? And not only can we tell them we can do that, which is exciting, but then we can tell them about all the other external environmental benefits that we can offer. And so, you know, if we look at, you know, COP21 and, you know, climate financing and the importance that people are recognizing of climate financing, you know, I think of some of my friends in California who are suffering from these wildfires. And the more and more we can have businesses that are recognizing the importance of sustainability and making sustainable procurement decisions, you know, we're really excited that we feel like we have a product that not only outcompetes on sort of traditional market standards, but then secondly adds these benefits when we're combining, as you mentioned, Sandy, both fecal sludge and agricultural waste products.
Okay, and Andrew, thanks. So some really interesting insights into this different model, this different view, decentralized. It's not only sanitation, processing other biological waste as well. You know, a quarter of the cost potentially, as David was saying. I mean, Johann and Pascale, we're running pretty late now in terms of time, and you know that have lots of things you could say on this, but just give us, you know, one or two further thoughts on where you see this business opportunity going. I mean, let's start with you, Johann, from a Veolia point of view. What would be your kind of key thought around the business opportunity here?
Yeah, I think the key business opportunity when you explore circular economy model out of toilet resources is that, you know, it's not just about producing a new product, but it's about creating value for customers, like improving yield for farmers, like food security, for example, when you look at producing protein out of organic. That's also when you look at the briquette or the biogas, about the downtime for industrial players. So this is the true value, and you know, that's the value you can monetize. In the meantime, you know, to make sanitation bankable, you know, you need to align different kind of incentives. So obviously, public authorities, they cannot cover all the cost at this stage. But if you can capture part of the subsidies, blend that with additional incentives, like Andrew was mentioning on CO2 credit and so on, then you have something that is bankable. And so that's the magic, you know, when you make profit or when tackling societal and environmental challenges, this is where you can scale. And again, looking at what Sanivation and Sanergy are doing, this is a fantastic start, and hopefully Veolia could be helping in the future and scaling up such great business opportunities.
Great. Johann, thank you. Pascale, any just last thoughts? We're almost out of time, but just any quick thoughts before we wrap this up?
Of course. Yeah, I think one of the issue now is to be able to help this entrepreneur and to be able to help scaling this business model. And I think the next, I would say in the municipal market, the next step is really to being able to set up strong partnerships between these entrepreneurs and operators, utilities, that and like that being able to develop a strategy that are citywide for access to the sanitation and introducing circular economy in the system. I think that's really the goal that we have to pursue now, being able to offer good services, but also to offer good byproducts that will help in the affordability and in the sustainability of the system itself.
Great. Pascale, thank you. And thanks to all of our panelists on this session. You've heard about real businesses here, large businesses, small businesses, and the two working together. And as Pascale said, also working in partnership with cities and others. And this is the new ecosystem of sanitation emerging before our eyes, and also the new ecosystem of the circular economy in a very real sense emerging here. You know, Andrew's point that this isn't just about sanitation, this is about other biological materials as well. So this is a broader opportunity than just sanitation. So thanks very much to the panel. That's the last of our 3 sessions on the circular economy today, the circular sanitation economy today. So thank you to all of you who've joined. Thanks for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation adherents who've joined us as well. We hope you find this interesting. Toiletboard.org is the website. You'll find these and other materials there, including the report we published today on agriculture. And we're going to have a session shortly on the pathways to profitability and the investment in this, which is very much a follow-on to what we've just been hearing. And then tomorrow we turn our attention to the smart sanitation economy, and we make this whole thing digital and enhance and expand the opportunity in that very new way. So with that, I'll say thank you very much and goodbye.